Hi everybody, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Linda.
And welcome to the Paranormal Evidence Room, where we're going to be looking at some possible pieces of evidence of the paranormal, taking them under a microscope and taking a closer look, seeing if they're truly paranormal or if there could be a rational explanation for what we're looking at. Now, the first thing that we have to present here is a picture that was submitted to us by a woman who was taking a tour of a winery in Nokesville. And she stopped in front of this very old photograph to take a picture, to kind of take a selfie with the old picture.
Right.
And we've got what looks to be a face in the photograph. So let's take a look at that picture right now. So looking at this picture, there's a couple places where you see what's possibly a face.
Right.
And we're going to try to highlight it here.
Yes.
So if you look, she's seeing it in the lower picture. That's where we're looking at. And in this lower picture, if you look in this area, you'll see what looks like a face, almost of somebody with a beard.
Right.
But if you look at it a little bit differently, right above that picture, you'll see what looks like another face.
Yes.
Right in this area here.
Right.
Where you have the eyes and the mouth. And it almost looks like an alien type disformed head.
Yeah, it's a little strange, yes.
It really is. So there's a lot of times where possible spirits are picked up in reflective surfaces.
Right.
Like windows.
Yes.
And picture frames. And we've recently had people send us pictures. One lady was sending us a picture of a picture.
Yes.
Where she was seeing these various faces in the picture.
Right.
So in this particular instance, what are your thoughts on this photograph?
I think that, like you said, there is that sort of visual pareidolia where you are sitting there looking at a picture or a piece of glass, whether it be in a window frame or what have you, and people are always seeing things in that glass that they believe to be paranormal. Now, I have seen pictures that were somewhat indisputable. I mean, you can look at these pictures and say, absolutely, there is something reflected in the glass. You know, this is more than just a visual pareidolia incident. This is something that is obviously sitting there up against the window, close to the window. And I believe that the plantation down in Virginia Beach was one of those locations where you could see this child's face looking out the window, and there's really no mistaking it. Like, it's a child's face, you know. Right. But this is one of those instances that sort of make me question, simply because there are two different faces, and because you know, of the level that it would be at and the angle and the fact that it's an oval frame. And, you know, I'd have to really see the environment, I would have to say, to be able to say whether or not this was something that was paranormal or was actual just matrixing, that visual pareidolia.
Right. And for those of you that don't know, matrixing is kind of like when you look at the clouds and you see a giraffe in the clouds. And it's obviously, it's not really a giraffe. Your brain's kind of perceiving it as that shape, putting a familiar shape to kind of a nonsense type noise that's in the atmosphere there.
Right.
And this happens a lot with windows. We get a lot of times where people send us a picture and it'll be a tree, a reflection of a tree, and you'll see what looks like faces and stuff in the tree, but it's most likely just the tree.
Yes.
Now in this case, like Linda said, it's very hard to tell without actually being there and seeing what's behind the picture. But these definitely do look like two faces.
It does.
Which is pretty interesting.
Yes.
And often, you know, in paranormal investigation, what we would do as investigators is we'd take multiple pictures so that you have 3 pictures to compare.
Right.
And see, is it in all 3 pictures? If it is, then there's probably a natural explanation for it.
Exactly.
But if it's not, then there's something there that wasn't there in the other pictures.
Right.
In this case, like I said, this was just a chance selfie that seemed to capture these faces.
Right.
So it's very possible that there was something in the picture.
It could be.
And the picture being an old item like that could very well attract activity.
Right.
I'm not sure of the history on the place.
I'm not sure
the place
either.
they have had some spirits, so we'd want to look into the activity there as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
But judging by this picture alone, it is possible that it's matrixing, as Linda said.
Right.
But if it is matrixing, what would it be? What would be giving the appearance of these two faces?
Yes, and that being that we don't, that's the exact reason why I said that we don't know the environment. And that's one of the things we look for as paranormal investigators. If we take a picture or we see a picture, we want to see what is in that room or what is in that area that could be reflecting and causing this to look like a face. And this is one of the things we have to sort of analyze and overanalyze to be able to figure it out. And in this instance, when people send us pictures like this, it's very hard because we can't see what's in the picture. We don't have the benefit of the duplicates or triplicate pictures like we would normally take on an investigation. There's a number of things in a room and an environment that could reflect into the glass and make it look like a face when it's actually not. But I'm not saying that that's exactly what this is, but you know, it's just we really can't tell from this photo. I would like to think that all of the pictures that people send us, the reflections in the glass are all paranormal. You know, you want to think that it's a face looking at you, especially when you're in a place that is old. Like our recent Parkgate Plantation investigation, you want to think when you're in a place like that that whatever you're catching in this glass is going to be paranormal. It's kind of an exciting and a fun thought. It really is. Even as investigators and as skeptics, the way that we are, you know, you want that. But at the same time, you have to take a step back and look and say, okay, there could be things that are causing this and causing it to look like a face when it's actually not. But like you say, old photograph, you have an old environment in this winery.
Yes.
It could be, I mean, this is the ideal stage, the ideal setting for paranormal activity anyways.
Right. So we're not going to throw this one out. This one is possible evidence worth further investigation.
Absolutely.
It's not debunkable from what we've seen, though there are some theories that could debunk it, but likewise, without having further to go on, it is quite possible that there's something there.
That's exactly right.
Next up, we have a video that a gentleman submitted to us. And this is a video that was captured on a Ring doorbell. Okay, now a Ring doorbell, for those of you that don't know, it's a great device. Because it's basically your doorbell with a camera in it. And I'm sure probably most people are looking at me like right now, like, Jeff, we know what a Ring doorbell is, but just in case there's people that don't, and I have respect for you too, because I know, you know, a lot of people may not know what a Ring doorbell was. I probably wouldn't if it wasn't for my dad giving me one. Or for all the people that send us the videos off of them.
Exactly.
But nonetheless, this Ring doorbell, it's on your front door, and it's motion activated. When someone comes up to your door, you can set the perimeter of it. Ours will pick up trucks driving down the road if we set the perimeter far enough. It will go off. So this gentleman's Ring doorbell was activated. And it captured some interesting footage here. Take a look right here. So in looking at this video, it could definitely throw a lot of people off. Because you see these 6 lights. These 6 little bright orbs.
All in a row.
Just kind of floating in front of the camera. Now before we touch on that, you also see many other faint orbs flying by.
Exactly.
Okay. Now these ones that are flying by I'm sure some of you realize, and some may not know, they were insects.
Yes.
They were insects flying by the camera.
Right.
The way the IR light, okay, we don't think about it because we think when we're recording night vision, a lot of people don't put it together really. And it makes sense because I never understood what IR was until I got into paranormal investigation.
Yes.
So when you have an IR light, it actually is a light that's shot out there.
Right.
And this light is only picked up by the infrared camera. It's not on the visible spectrum of light.
Right.
So if you shine this light at a bug, it will light up that insect.
That insect,
you will
yes.
see that just like you would with a normal light, you'll see that insect flying by. So that's what these orbs are.
Right.
But this isn't the first time we've got a video like this where people see these strange lights just kind of hovering there in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And they say, what in the world is this?
Right.
What's your answer?
The answer is that this is a spider web. This is something that we see oftentimes in videos from front porches. And the reason being because spiders like to make webs on front porches. You know, I know in the fall we have like 16 out there, and I'm like always out there with the broom fighting these spiders, right?
But they keep the mosquitoes away at least.
They do keep the mosquitoes away. That is a good thing. But, you know, you come outside and these spiders are coming down on your head, and that's not a good thing. But the spider web
because we live in a haunted house. That's why we're always seeing these spiders.
Spider webs on the front porch, giant spiders. But the thing about it is that you have to think about the spider web. It's a very clear, very thin piece of wire in a sense. And even though it may be something that we don't see visually, when we go outside, I'm not going to see if a spider is hanging down from the light fixture. And if its web is hanging right there in front of my face, I may not see it. But the IR light that is emitted from these cameras is actually reflecting off of that. And even moisture particles in the air that land upon this spider web, this singular strand of web, sort of illuminate even more. And that's exactly what I think you're getting here, is you're getting this reflection of the IR light off of the spider web. It could be that there's a little bit of moisture on the spider web as well. And it's causing this row of 6 lights to appear, and they look like they're hovering. After you investigate for a while and you see enough of these things, you can tell by the movement of these lights exactly what it is without really paying much attention to the fact that these lights are all in a row. The movement of it by itself is what kind of clues you in. A little bit of a breeze will sway it back and forth, but it rarely ever will leave the view of the camera. It just kind of sways a little bit or moves just a little bit within the camera's view. And that's exactly what I think we have here.
It's just swaying in the camera's view. It's like if you go out at night and there's a spider web, you shine your light on it. It really illuminates that thing. You can really see it at night. And likewise, during the day, when the sunlight's shining through the spider webs, you can really see them.
Yes.
But if the light's not hitting them directly, you don't really see them as well.
Right. And you also have to consider the way that these IR lights are formed. You know, most IR lenses or lights are configured with multiple little bulbs, little IR bulbs. It's not just one singular bulb that shines out. It's oftentimes 8 or 16 of them. There's an array of little miniature bulbs, and those shining upon the web itself can cause that row, it seems, this sort of row of lights that appears.
Right, because parts of the web are kind of on a microscopic nature. They're a little closer to the camera, to the light. The slightest movement of that web is going to make it go out of the camera. It's going to make it go out of the light or make the light hit it just not right so that it doesn't light up.
Right.
So there you have. If you see something like this on your camera, it is indeed a spider web. And we know that because we've seen this. We've had videos like this submitted to us. Yeah. But likewise, we've seen it on our own firsthand.
Oh, absolutely.
And gone out there and moved the spider web, and it's no longer there.
Right. So if you see this, pull out a broom. Don't call the investigators. Don't call the
No,
the
call
people
the
to come-
investigators because
No.
we like having videos to see and
Yeah.
if no one ever called us about this, we wouldn't be able to be talking about this right now, So
Right.
it's a great thing to
It is.
just always reach out and see, question if it's paranormal.
Yes.
But a lot of times there's a rational explanation.
Absolutely.
Now, the next video clip that we're getting to show here, okay, this was taken on the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, or Tunnel Bridge, that
Bridge tunnel.
12-mile, I believe it's a 12-mile bridge
Maybe
that goes
more
over the
than that,
Chesapeake
yeah.
Bay. And I'm going to go ahead and play this video clip for you right now before we talk about it, so you can kind of get your thoughts without us giving you any bias on it. I gotta say right off the bat, this is an interesting video to me.
It is.
Because we shared this on Facebook a while back. And people were commenting and saying, well, you're looking towards Virginia Beach and there's airports over there and there's aircraft.
Right.
And looking at this video, I've seen aircraft before.
Oh, absolutely.
It moves. Now, if you look at this video closely, what you'll notice is that this strobe of lights, it does not move. It stays right there in the sky for the entire duration of the video.
Exactly.
In the same place.
Yes.
And when you have planes, they'll usually have the lights on the wings.
They do.
That will blink.
Right.
They don't have the lights that are kind of a strobe like that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say is, you were in the Air Force.
Right.
Okay, you know airplanes, you've seen aircraft. Anybody that grows up in this area knows aircraft. You know what they look like in the night sky, and they don't look like this. And that's the strange thing about it, is that you get to learn, like when an aircraft is coming towards you, you have this singular, bright, solitary light that stays on as it's coming towards you. And you think, what is that? Is that a really bright star? And, what could that be? And then eventually it starts to take a turn, and then you see more of the blinking lights that are attached to the wings and and then you think, oh, okay, it's just an airplane. This is sort of different in the sense that it has this row of lights that sort of blink in succession. It's almost like Christmas lights, like somebody has strung out a short string of Christmas lights way up in the sky, and you see the lights illuminate here and then go out, illuminate here and go out, illuminate here and go out, illuminate here and go out. So it's like in succession these lights are coming on and going off. And the fact that this one formation, this one string of lights per se, does not actually move is a little bit interesting as well.
It's very interesting. And I, for one, I've traveled over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel.
Yes, multitude of times.
Multiple times.
Yes.
I go up there all the time to visit home. And I've never seen any structure in that area, anything that's up that high that's a permanent fixture.
No.
And I can't think of why an aircraft would have those lights and be hovering right there. I mean, most of my experience with aircraft, like I said, it's planes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? A chopper. Would a chopper sit up there and hover? And if so, would it have such lights on it as that?
No, helicopters tend to have a single solitary light that you see more often. It's just one single solid light. It doesn't actually, they don't have as many blinking lights.
Just the blinking light on the tail.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Right.
You don't see that as much because it's usually sort of a secondary light. The primary light that you see on a helicopter is the one that's like sort of illuminating what's in front of it. And, when you're coming south on the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, as this was, What you're coming into is you're coming into Virginia Beach. You're coming into the ocean front is what you see right there spread out in front of you. And off to the left, the ocean front sort of curves around and goes down, along towards, I'd say, the coast of the Outer Banks. And the thing about it is there are a lot of airports, there are a lot of air bases. That you have Norfolk Naval Base, you have, NAS Oceana down there. So you do have the possibility for aircraft to be flying around in the area, but we have a good knowledge, a good basis of what that looks like, because I grew up here. We grew up with planes flying over, and you hear...
I live right across from Langley.
Langley Air Force Base is literally out the back door. And that's one of the things you get used to. You get used to seeing that. So as investigators, when we're out driving around and we see something like this kind of sends up a red flag.
Yes.
Okay, this is something that's a little bit different than what you would normally see. And for that reason, I think it's a very interesting video.
Yes, this is something that's definitely interesting to me. I've always been interested in aliens and UFOs. The cases are few and far between, but they're some of my favorite.
Right.
I think we could say that at least VAPI believes there's a good possibility that aliens have visited Virginia Beach.
Right.
And I say this not only because of that, but cases in the past.
Oh, yeah.
We've had cases in the past where people have talked about being out on the beach late at night. And someone even had, that's a whole nother story, but someone even had a borderline abduction out there on the beach. Yeah. So, aliens in Virginia Beach. It sounds crazy. And
Not
we can talk
necessarily.
about ghosts all day. I've said this before at our pub table discussions. We can talk about ghosts all day, but as soon as we mention aliens, people are like, oh, you're crazy. I'm telling you, they're out there.
They are. And you have to keep in mind, too, that just about a year ago, there were some videos that were leaked out from Norfolk Naval Base.
Which is very
there
close to there.
There were a couple of naval fighter pilots, and they were out there flying around. They had spotted what they considered a bogey. They didn't understand what it was, and basically got into sort of a little bit of a skirmish with this thing. Not firing at it or it firing at them, but they were sort of flying around, and you could see on the video, which was very grainy and black and white, of course, that they were evading some sort of aircraft out there that they could not identify.
Right.
And this was actually revealed to the public, to the local news channels, and this was just, like I said, a year ago. So we know that aliens come and they try to monitor us.
We believe they do.
They want to keep a check on what we're doing and what our technological advances are as a society. And that's what I truly believe.
Yeah.
And a place like Hampton Roads, 7 cities is what you call it. We have so much military, so much aircraft, so many different branches of the military just here in Hampton Roads. This is the type of place where I would expect aliens to come.
There's a lot to observe here. A lot of people to probe.
A lot of people to probe.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of people to probe. So we believe that this is a prime setting for them. This is the kind of place where aliens would come. If they want to see what kind of technology we have at this current state, they're going to come here.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, our last video clip, okay? It's one that was taken in Poquoson, Virginia. And speaking of lights in the sky, we beg the question, are aliens visiting the small town of Poquoson? I don't know, but let's take a look at this clip and then we'll discuss it. So these are an interesting couple of clips.
They are.
When you look at the first one, you think immediately, it's a plane.
Right.
Except for the light that seems to be the same light, and it could be the distance, but it seems to be the same light that changes from red to green to white, to a white light. Now, these were a couple of clips taken back to back.
Yes.
Because shortly after this light appeared, you see another light.
Yes.
Okay? And this other light that appears in the sky, you can see the one, and you may even still at that point think, okay, maybe there's a possibility that that's a natural aircraft, but the way this one flies behind that tree and then down, back out, aircraft doesn't fly like that. And the two of them looked very close. Now, it's very difficult to tell from a distance.
Right.
But they looked like they were very close together.
Yes. And I have to say, in the first section of the clip where you see it out in open sky, you're trying to focus on it. This is one of those things, like aircraft have multiple different types of blinking lights on them. And red and green and white are some of the most popular lights that you see on aircraft. But the way that it blinks is a little bit odd, and it could be that it's because of the atmosphere. You know, when you're looking at something through atmosphere, the atmosphere, the amount of moisture in the air can have a lot of effect on it. And that may be what's happening here with that particular instance, is that you're looking at it, it looks kind of like brighter at some instances. It looks like it becomes sort of a big glowing orb as it flashes. But the second video is probably the most interesting because it shows the flight path of this thing. And that's what I look at and I think, okay, something's a little bit odd here. Right? The flight path is what gives you pause and makes you think, wait, like you said, aircraft don't do that. You know, normal fighter jets, doesn't matter whether it's Air Force, doesn't matter whether it's naval, it doesn't fly like that. They just don't do that.
Unless it's like a helicopter.
Even helicopters don't necessarily fly like that. No. And if they did, I would be extremely surprised. Okay,
so looking at these, what about the possibility of them being two drones?
Drones they don't have a bright enough light, okay? Even if you have the most souped up, fanciest drone that you can imagine. These drones would have had to have been much closer to you to give off that bright of a light. They couldn't have been as far away as that tree.
So you're saying if I was able to see the light on the drone, most likely. Now I'm sure there's some high-tech drones and some expensive things out there that are things we've never come close to touching.
Yes.
But
military drones.
Right. Yeah, but for the most part, like your average drone, like the one that you have.
Right.
If you're gonna see the light, you're gonna see the drone.
Right.
You're gonna hear probably the propellers.
Absolutely.
Running on it fairly well.
Absolutely. And you have to keep in mind too that we're in an area here where you cannot find a place to fly a drone. FAA regulations dictate that you cannot fly a drone within a certain distance of a military base. You cannot fly a drone within a certain distance of a regular airport. Right. If I was to go out and try to fly my drone within a certain radius of just the regular Newport News International Airport, Patrick Henry Field, I would have to call the air control tower and notify them that I have to fly that I'm flying this drone at that time. And there are very strict regulations as far as flying drones at night and over traffic and things of that nature. So you have to keep in mind, this is nighttime. This is just after sundown, all right? The chances of there being a person out there flying a drone against FAA regulations, because from that video it appears that they would be breaking all kinds of regulations.
Right.
Yes.
They're breaking the regulation 2 times.
They are, yeah. Then the chances of that are very, very slim.
Much more likely that it's aliens.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's questionable. Yeah. It really is. These are some questionable videos that we looked at. One we were able to debunk hands down.
Right.
The picture was questionable.
Yes.
And these aliens,
Yeah.
are they coming to Virginia?
I don't know why they would come to Poquoson, but they would specifically come and check out Langley Air Force
very
Base,
close
which,
to
like we
Poquoson.
said, is right across
Absolutely.
a creek.
Pretty much.
Literally a river, a creek.
Cross the creek, and
Yeah.
there you are.
Yeah.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, some possible pieces of evidence
Yes.
of the paranormal, from ghosts to aliens.
Yeah.
We're really grateful to everybody that submitted their videos and their pictures
Yes.
to us. And we hope that you will tune in next week to the Paranormal Evidence Room.
Yeah.
As we'll be taking some more evidence under the microscope.
Right.
And discussing the possibility. Is it real? Is there something else out there? Or are these just figments of our imagination and misinterpretations of the things that we're seeing?
Right.
Till next time, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Linda.
And we are Virginia Paranormal Investigations. Thank you for watching.